Hello everybody, it's I Friendly Neighborhood INFP and welcome back to today's video in which I would like to talk about our perceived perceptions and how people will view you very differently based on their experiences with you. So, for example, I led youth. I led youth for 6 years under assistant leader and then voluntary leader, and basically I was there around youth for quite a number of years. And a topic came up, and I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before, where they thought I was an extrovert. I had mentioned to them that I was an introvert, and they were like, which, okay, fair, I am their leader. I have to be the driving force that leads them, and they perceive that as extroversion. And they probably have also perceived introversion to be something of reserved, distant, in the background, shy, socially anxious, or antisocial is a big one for people with introversion and all that, which, while some introverts are antisocial, not all introverts are. There are a bunch of misconceptions, and that's where our perception of things come in. This is more, shall I say, a more philosophical video, sort of, maybe. So, with our perceptions, we will view people in one way, and we will perceive them to be that way, even though they may be something else completely different, especially if we don't spend the time to get to know them, if we don't spend time around them, if we aren't open-minded and we always perceive them to be the one way. Our perception of items can be one way, whether negative or positive. The entire world is based around our perceptions of things, the way we've been taught, the way we've grown up, the situation of our surroundings. And I feel like the ones who are the most perceptive are the ones who have been able to, I would say, break out of a narrow-minded viewpoint, or break out of a kind of limited thinking. People who have the most perceptions are perhaps able to see both the good and bad in both sides, or are able to see the bigger picture, or are able to see, something quite here isn't all as it seems, which in reality, one could say that nothing is ever as it seems. You may see things as being one way at this point and then being another at that point. Now, are there black and white situations that come up? Yes. But I feel like our perceptions of the world, what goes on around it, are very akin to how we've been taught, where we've grown up, how the people we've been around, and this can lead to some false perceptions, lies, delusions, things that people will believe as true but are not actually true. And if you try and bring them into the truth, they will typically fight back with great fervor because their lie is more pleasing than the truth. The truth is always a bitter medicine to a sweet tasting lie. And the more you are aware of things that go around you, the more you are aware of other people, the more you are aware of things in general, gives you, I believe, a greater sense of perception. It also gives you a greater sense of openness. It gives you a greater sense of understanding. Now, does that mean that those who are more perceptive than others in many different ways, not just the sensory, does that mean that they are not biased? No, everybody is biased towards one direction or another. There is no escaping that. Biases will always exist. Because that's just how we kind of grow up. We grow up believing certain things, but if we're able to be like, okay, I understand these biases, and if we're able to be a little meta shall I say, self-aware, where we'll be able to go, okay, I have these biases, but let's look at these other things, and then let's judge them. And then, of course, some of those biases may change, or some of those biases may be reaffirmed. It really depends on the situation. The point I'm trying to make is that it is important to not just look at one side, but at all sides. The idea that some people will find pit bulls, for example, to be violent dogs who will attack you on sight is going to be different from another person's perception of pit bulls being very friendly family dogs who will protect their family and even rescue their family. It really depends on that experience and what they're willing to believe, and that openness. And this is doubly so for human behavior. If we don't take it in ourselves to look as to why they're doing this other thing, and even though we may understand why they're doing the other thing, it doesn't necessarily mean we have to like it. Like, a lot of people think that openness, tolerance, perception requires you to accept that thing that is happening, which is not true. You just have to, perception is the ability to see it all, and to see it all in one way, but also I feel like a perception is also important in understanding. Like, for example, if you see something running towards you, your perception is like, okay, something's running towards you, but that understanding with that perception in the way you've been taught be like, oh crap, a grizzly bear is coming right after me, or a serial killer is coming, I better run. And so you book off running. It's like that scene in Jurassic Park where, you know, that perception allowing them to see them dinosaurs and to know what to do on that spot. Now, not everybody will know what to do with what they see and understand, mostly because they don't fully understand that thing of which they are seeing, which is perfectly fine. The idea is to see it all first and then seek to understand it if you don't. At least that's my kind of view on it. Anyways, what I'm trying to get within this video is that we should strive to seek this ability to perceive things that aren't the way that we thought they once were. That we should seek that this thing that we once thought was something is this other thing that we didn't realize. Seek why one person believes one thing and why another believes another, and like truly look into it. Now, I've also noticed that if you have that ability to do so, to see things in a much more open, not narrow-minded view, to have that kind of awareness around you, you should also be able to understand that not everybody is going to have a good argument for their side, and not everybody is going to have a bad argument for their side, and to not seek out those with a bad argument to justify your own biases, so to speak, to see that what they're trying to argue, try to understand it, even if it's a bad argument, go to somebody else who has a far better argument and see what they're saying about the subject, and then come back, and if you want to correct them, you can. If you want to show your own viewpoint, you can. But it's that whole idea of having, you know, that kind of civil discourse, or trying to get people to see things that they may not necessarily see properly, because due to, like I said before, the circumstances, the way you've grown up, how you've been taught, who you've been around, you could have blinders on. You could be blinded by lies. You could be blinded by a bunch of things that you don't realize that there is a much wider world out there. There is a fantastic Chinese saying, I believe it's Chinese, it's Asian anyways, where when they want to insult somebody's awareness or perception of things, they will say, you are just a frog at the bottom of a well. Meaning that the thing that the frog can only see is the well, and that small sky above them, especially if they can't get out of that well. But should somebody bring them out of the well, then a much greater thing comes, like a much greater scenery, a much wider world comes to them. And I feel like not only are a lot of people that frog in the bottom of the well in many different aspects, even myself in certain aspects, I probably am, and to have that self-understanding and self-awareness that you are and to seek to do better is like a good thing. But like, I also don't believe that you need to let everybody take advantage of you either. It's just the idea that there is a far greater world out there than you may realize. And then, of course, to have that ability to not necessarily always judge a book by its cover or judge a book by what everybody else is saying. So, for example, if you run across 10 people insulting this one person, saying they're this, that, and the other, your perception of that person is going to be this, that, and the other. And then when you meet that person, say those perceptions have been negative. Say those things have been negative, and you go there, and you find out that that person is actually very positive and very kind, and you're like, wait a minute, I've always been told that it's this way. So yeah, with that being said, I guess the entire point of this video is a long summary of don't judge a book by its cover. With that being said, I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.